Welcome back. The organisation AfriForum, they're private prosecutions units. They have evidence that two senior people, in fact two generals in the South African National Defence Force, of being accused of being involved in a murder. The allegation is that, in fact, they ordered a person to be killed and that the police have refused what appears to be an instruction from a prosecutor to arrest them. AfriForum says they were contacted by the mother of the person who was killed. The spokesperson for the private prosecutions unit at AfriForum is Bateman. Barry, good afternoon to you. This is a very big claim to make. What happened?
Yeah, good afternoon, Stephen. Well, we've got to cast our minds back to February. It was on the night of 13th of February. And this is the version according to Miriam Petla. She's the mother of one of the men who are still missing. She says, and she was told this version by who we now understand is the state's witness in this particular case. The version that she was told is that her son, and his name is Sibusiso Petla, and his friend Jerome Lebaka, they needed to go and pick up money from somebody in Tabatwane, and they hired a guy who was basically like an Uber, if you want to call it that. That's what they referred to him as. And they needed to go from, we understand, the Lotus Gardens area in the west to Tabatwane, which you know is the military base. They say that on the way there, they got lost and they ended up in Magasane Street, which is in Selboko. If you know where Fosimampuru Correctional Center is, it's in that area behind the prison. It's a military residential area. The man says they got lost over there. It stopped the vehicle outside somebody's house, at which point they heard a gunshot. They identify the general involved. It's a major general. I'm not going to identify him. And it is alleged that instructions and other soldiers arrived as well after this gunshot was fired. It is alleged that the two men who were being given the lift were bundled into a boot. The driver of the car was told to move the car and move it elsewhere in Magasane Street, at which point another senior officer joined the situation as it was unfolding. We understand that is a brigadier general. The two men were taken out of the boot of the car and they were subsequently assaulted. The man who's now the witness has told detectives that he was allowed to leave because he proclaimed that there was a tracker in his car. This seemingly caused concern for the soldiers who were on the scene, and he was allowed to leave. That was the last time he saw Lebaka and Petla alive. So far, 3 soldiers, junior members of the SANDF, have been arrested and are on trial. They're going to go on trial soon for charges of kidnapping and assault. But we were in court earlier this week. We've not had sight of the docket, but we are privy to certain information. The prosecutor has instructed that the generals who were involved in this particular matter also be arrested. Warning statements taken. There are explicit instructions to this effect in the docket diary, but this has not happened.
So when was the instruction, on the information that you say you have, the instruction for these two generals to be arrested? When was that given? How much time has passed since the police were told to arrest them?
I think it was several months ago, Stephen. We don't have the exact timeline. The suspects were arrested and brought to court, we understand, sometime in March or April. We only became involved in the last month or two. So the docket diary, again, we don't have exact sight of it, but the instructions are given on quite early. Now, you must understand, a prosecutor would have had sight of the evidence inside the docket, and based on that evidence, come up with a decision that should be certain accused added to the case. In this particular matter, the prosecutor believes that the generals are accused persons and gave this specific instruction for this to happen, and it hasn't.
Do we know what was behind this? Why these people were being attacked? Why one person, at least, has never been seen alive again?
We don't, Stephen. The version that is from the main witness is that they were on a simple errand to go and pick up money. They got lost, ended up in this military area. Before they knew it, a gunshot was fired and their car was surrounded by soldiers. We don't know what happened on that night. What we do know is that 3 people went into a military residential area. There was gunfire. I understand that's not contested at all that there was gunfire. 1 person came out and 2 people remain missing. Miriam Petla hasn't seen her son since that day on 13th February.
I can't remember anything like this happening before. I presume that the police do have the right to arrest members of the SANDF, even if they're generals.
they absolutely have the right, Stephen, to arrest any member of the SANDF. Where a crime has been committed and has been reported to the SAPS, they are entitled to carry out their investigation and enforce the laws, the Criminal Procedure Act, basically, to ensure that an accused person is brought before court so that they can answer to the alleged crime that they're accused of committing. Another issue that we've raised here that's a concern, Stephen, is this is a major general and a brigadier general that have been implicated in a very serious crime. The police have assigned a sergeant to investigate this matter. I mean, the rank difference here is substantial, and somebody who's a low-ranking station-level detective, doesn't quite have the clout that somebody at maybe a brigadier or a colonel level might have, maybe at a provincial level, to be able to get the cooperation needed from the SANDF. We understand that the SANDF is being less than cooperative.
Barry Bateman, thank you very much indeed, spokesperson for the Private Prosecutions Unit at AfriForum. It's an astonishing story. There'll be more court cases around that, I'm sure.